All right, you guys, hey, I'm back. My last video was a slash update supposed to be about R. Kelly, but I went all the way left and it became a video all in itself. So I'm doing the R. Kelly video really. All right, so unless you've been basically not on social media or not paying attention to the headlines within the last week or two, then you wouldn't have heard about the the docu-series Surviving R. Kelly. So I actually remember a few months back they were advertising it on certain platforms, and I had set my DVR to record it when it came on because, you know, stuff, they advertise it and then you forget about it, whatever. So and that's exactly what happened. I forgot about it, but my DVR recorded it, and then I had saw that it had premiered, and it was like a 6-part docu-series. So let's see, I watched it, and horror, basically some of the things I had already knew. Some things definitely I was like, wow, that's disgusting. But my whole thing with R. Kelly is, we all know that he definitely is a musical genius, someone that can't read, someone that can't write, but can produce these melodies, these soundtracks, the basically the soundtracks to a lot of our lives. We all know this. Now, I personally did see the tape, the P tape is what they're calling it, with Sparkle's niece and the Lisa girl, because I remember, I think it was early 2000s, I remember that they actually were selling that VHS, I think it was VHS, bootleg, everywhere. And y'all know I'm from New York, and New York is known for bootlegging. Not so much now because they changed the laws, but you still could find anything that you want or need in New York, trust me. And a friend of mine and I were shopping and we had saw the bootleg, and we were like, yo, we got to see if this is really R. Kelly. And again, we were in our early 20s. And I remember we finished shopping, we went back to her house and basically had our snacks and shit, basically like we were about to watch this world premiere. And if you think about it, it's kind of disgusting, right? Because this is basically porn and with a child, but at the same time, you're so curious to know if he really did this to a child, because we all loved his music as someone who was still very popular, and your mind is just seeking truth, right? So we were grown, and I remember basically popping that VHS in, and it was kind of bad quality or whatever, but remember seeing a little girl, and there was no way that you looked at this girl and couldn't tell that she was a little girl. 14 maybe. To me, she looked like she was 12, like no hair, you know, not really developed, very childlike hairstyle. Just, you knew that this was a child. And immediately I remember feeling disgusted that this was a child, because the beginning of the video, without getting into too many details, she's like dancing for him, and you don't see him at first. You see like his legs, if I remember correctly, and his hands, and he's kind of like telling her, you know, what he wants her to do, and she's dancing for him. And I think at some point he asked her, the little girl, to pee. He wants her to pee, like while she's dancing, he wanted her to pee in front of him. So he clearly has a fetish with urination and that sort of thing. And if y'all remember back in the day, Biggie was in that song, he was talking about how a girl wanted him to defecate on her stomach, and I just think that's so disgusting. But you know, people are into weird things, but if you're a grown-up, then you do all the freaky shit you want to do. But a child, or you know, an adult taking advantage of a child, like, that's just fucking off limits. So watching it, and you know, the video does progress and he does certain things to her that like are despicable, and then towards the end of that scene you see his face. There was no way that you could convince me that that was not R. Kelly. Now, back then, I do remember arguing with people, and people that didn't even see the video, basically saying that that was a lookalike, or it was somebody trying to get his money and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, I saw the video with my own 2 eyes. It was not a lookalike. It was definitely him. And people would argue with you, you know, till they were blue in the face. Adults, it was just like people did not want to believe that that was him. So, and then the video that we had, the bootleg that we had, also had that girl Lisa Allen, you know, that was in the docu-series. She was also in this video as well. So whoever leaked these tapes, they comprised a few different of his homemade videos onto this one bootleg we had, and she was having sex with like another girl. Now I don't know if it was the same girl, because to me it didn't look like the same girl, because you didn't really see the younger girl's face, but they were definitely touching, kissing, all that sort of stuff. And although Lisa was older, she also was a child. You could look at her and tell that she was a child, a teenager, but a child. And so fucking disgusting. And he's directing them, you know what he wants to see. There was another scene with another young lady. You didn't see her face, and she's basically sitting in a chair naked, and he's filming her, and she's making like her ass cheeks bounce or something, and he's like telling her what to do. But I couldn't tell, because all you saw of her was from the back. You didn't see her face or the front, whatever. So I couldn't tell if she was a child or not. But he definitely had a thing for making videos, you know, of the women who he had sexual encounters with. So yeah, I remember being disgusted for like a very long time, and then kind of forgetting about it. You know, time passes, he came out with a lot more music. A lot of people argued that, you know, he was never brought up on charges and these people were lying and it wasn't him. So I think me personally, like, although I still kind of felt like, yo, I saw this shit with my own eyes, like I know that was R. Kelly, that maybe it wasn't R. Kelly. Like, I started to like question myself, because nothing was happening. Like, this girl's parents didn't come forward. You know, he was still out there making good music. People were still supporting him. A lot of people were saying that, you know, people were just trying to get him for his money, and he basically denied it every time he was asked about it, you know. So I think for me personally, like, I still kind of felt like it was him, but I wasn't for sure. So I didn't completely detach myself from, you know, listening to the music or buying his music or whatever. So yeah, that's that. Now I remember even younger, let's go back to Aaliyah, thinking that was weird, right? So I'm a teenager, this man is a grown-ass man, and I remember not being able to listen to certain music. So here's where the elders in my family, parents and, you know, the elders came in, protecting me from being exposed to over sexualized things, right? So R. Kelly was not allowed in my house. Now I snuck and listened to it, you know, outside of my house or whatever, but in my house certain things were not allowed. Little Kim was not allowed. I snuck and listened to that as well, but I knew in my house that I was gonna get my ass beat or something to that effect. Like the grown-ups in my home, in my life, were protecting me or trying to protect me from that. Now Aaliyah, of course, everybody loved Aaliyah, right? You know, and I don't know, at that time I just thought it was weird that this guy is dressing like her. They're singing that song, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. I remember being in my room and actually thinking like, yo, this is crazy. Like, age ain't nothing but a number. But then, you know, you're not fully grown. I hadn't been through a lot in life yet. it's still catchy, and you kind of think that then that's cool, right? Because like, oh, dating an older guy, you're considered the shit, right? Because I did date older guys, and that was looked at as something normal, but not older, 10, 15 years older. I mean, I'm a freshman and they may be a junior or a senior, something like that. Not a ridiculous amount, like a whole grown-ass man older. So always in my mind, I kind of, the whole R. Kelly Aaliyah thing, you know, I thought that there was something off with that. I thought that her songs were a little mature for a teenager, because, you know, you start comparing yourself, like, oh, I'm a teenager, she's a teenager. I could not ever see my parents being okay with me singing about having sex and dating an older guy and, you know, being like this kind of sexual being. Like, that would have never flown in my house, right? So now you hear Aaliyah's parents basically saying that they were always there, you know, that they made sure that she was protected and blah blah blah. But at the same time, it's like the price of fame, right? Like, what parent is cool with their kids singing about having sexual relations with older guys? Like, I don't know. But again, even from that point, I just thought the shit was weird that they were always together, and he was always like this creepy person in the background. But again, you're like, oh, he's a genius, he's writing her music, he's making her famous, you know, like he really cares about her. Like, you play with these thoughts in your mind, right? So yeah, but the whole point was, like, even then I kind of knew something was like weird, right? So just fast forward 2000s, Kels is pumping out hit after hit. He's writing for other people, bringing people's careers back to life, just being the superstar that he is. Now, again, saw the video, had the thoughts of Aaliyah, right? So again, my thoughts of Kels is not 100% great, but I still have not completely shut down the possibility of just leaving his shit alone because I think he's a damn pervert, right? So now, fast forward, you have more and more girls like sporadically coming out and filing lawsuits and, you know, saying things about him, and basically just now, I guess, things with social media and how fast information spreads, that all this stuff is now coming to light, right? Coming to light very quickly, and we're all being bombarded with all this stuff, right? And with the internet, we all know that you have to take things with a grain of salt. So again, when I basically made a decision, I'm gonna tell y'all when I made a full decision not to support R. Kelly anymore, because I just knew at that point that what was being said was true. The interview that Tasha K had on her show, I don't know how long ago this was, a year, 2 years, I'm not exactly sure, with a young lady who wore glasses, and you could just hear in her voice that she was telling her truth, right? And the shit that she was saying about R. Kelly was so disgusting. I remember being in the car with my husband, and I had my headphones on because he was listening to something and I wanted to finish hearing this interview. So we're driving, and I remember being like sick to my stomach, like I literally wanted to throw up. And he's like, what's the matter with you? And I'm just like, yo, you are not gonna even believe the shit, right? So the stuff was so graphic, the details of what this man did to her, and the things that he made her do as a young lady. I just knew, like, everything, you know how things just click and it just starts to make sense. And she also said that, you know, allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because I don't know where her story went or whatever, but that he had a guy, like a male, that he would bring in to like give him head and, you know, have sexual relations with him, and then he would go have sex with her. Like, are you serious? Like, what in the world, my guy? And again, you're a grown-ass man, because what frustrates me as well is you hear a lot of people, you see it in the comments. I've seen a few videos, you know, that people have made about the topic. I have my own personal friends and family, and we've discussed this. and you hear people blaming these girls, these young girls. You hear them saying, oh, they was fast, they knew what they were getting into, you know, he didn't know any better, they lied to him, you know, it's not 100% his fault, and da-da-da. And I'm like, what? Like, these are grown people, like, you're all the way grown, and some of these people have children, have little girls, like, have daughters. Like, would you blame your daughter for being taken advantage of? For a grown-ass man 10, 20, 15 years older than her? It's your daughter's fault? It's the same way that people blame victims of rape, you know, oh, she shouldn't have had on that skanky dress, or if she wasn't wearing those shoes, or if she wasn't here at this time. Like, you don't blame victims. Like, wrong is wrong regardless of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, are you kidding me? And, you know, more and more you see people just defending this guy, even with all of this evidence and proof. Like, now, you know, what are we in the 20s, the 30s of the numbers of women who have come forward? Every story basically is the same story. You know, he's controlling, he locks them up, he likes sex a certain way, you know, he has the older girls training the younger girls how he wants things. You know, you have to ask permission to use the bathroom, you have to ask permission to get something to eat. Like, just like all the same stories, you know. And I think he said he has a type, like he has a type of girl, but it seemed to me that the type is the mind. If you're able to control someone's mind, then who cares what they look like, because you still can have them do whatever you need them to do. Because all these girls seem different to me. They look different, you know, it seemed like they were all from different backgrounds. It was a matter of the mind control that he was able to do with the older girls, which was crazy to me, as well as the younger girls. But regardless, these women were victims. Now, as far as the older women that came forward, like the girl, her last name was Jones, I believe, and she said she met him when she was a full-ass grown adult, and like she fell in love and she just didn't know any better. Sis, like, you know, like, again, I don't want to completely judge her, because I think, you know, as women, if you've ever been in love, I think we all have, you get a little crazy. You can get a little crazy to a certain degree, but to the degree where, like, he just totally taking control. You grown now. You, like, you all the way grown. You done lived some life. You done been through some things. Like, you locking me in a room, like, day one, like, I would have been gone. Like, I'm not peeing in a bucket. I'm not banging on the floor to ask, can I come out of a room? Like, listen, me and my cousin had joked about this, and she's like, yo, that D must have been, yo, something incredible. And I'm like, I don't give a hell how good the D is. I'm not peeing in no bucket, banging on a floor so I could come down and eat. Like, we just not doing that. And I discussed this also with a friend of mine, and I'm like, I could see a woman, even a young girl, being in a situation where, you know, you're getting taken care of. Like, you have all the luxuries of life. You driving the fancy cars, you know, like, you going to all the events, blah blah blah. Like, you're being well taken care of. So maybe you do a little freaky shit, right? Whatever. But to me, these women were not being taken care of. Like, they basically were slaves. They basically were told that you are not the only one. I'm gonna need you to do this, and you're gonna listen and do what I say. Or they said he threatened, you know, to kill people's families and all of this. Like, yo, I would have had to call your bluff, dude, because I am not doing this shit, you know. But again, everybody's mindset is different depending on your background, whatever, you know. Like, I was raised very well, you know, and although, like, you guys have heard me say, like, in my family, I saw certain things and I was just like, yo, my life is not gonna be that. Like, I'm going this way, you know, with certain things, like certain people in my family. My immediate family was very protective. I had a lot of life lessons, and I'm very thankful for that. And you know, education, and, you know, basically just being a good human being, conducting yourself a certain way. Like, I learned that from a young age, but also learned from uncles and you know, cousins and things like that, like how to protect yourself and do, like, not to become a victim, you know what I'm saying? And I get that some people may not have had that in their lives, and if you have, you know, these young girls, and they said he targeted the girls that basically he knew had family problems, had people that didn't really care about them or that weren't there for them, and he targeted those people because those are the people you can manipulate, you know, those are the people that you can control. So if at 16, 17 you know, your mom's working 3 or 4 jobs, you got 4 or 5 siblings, your mom ain't watching you, you know, basically you're the grown-up, you are gonna do what you want to do. And if a man comes along and he's like, oh, so what, you know, what's your lifestyle, blah, 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 and you basically like, oh, you know, I have to take care of my siblings, my mom's never around, daddy's I don't know where, you know, and he's like, well, I'm gonna give you a better life, I'm gonna take care of you, you know, I'm gonna show you what luxury is and all of this. It's easy for you to fall into that trap, right? And especially if he's making you think that he loves you. So I could definitely see how these women or these young girls got caught up, you know, because these men that are out here, these predators, this is what they target, you know, this is what they target. So you can understand it to a certain degree, right? But we all just have to make a decision, I feel like, at this point. Like, we cannot support this man. Now, what I will say is that I do feel that R. Kelly needs help. He has issues, like, clearly. Now, Tasha K, again, released another video not too long ago with his younger brother, R. Kelly's younger brother, and his younger brother basically came out and said it was their sister. Oh, can you imagine? Like, I can't. All right, no judgment. It was their oldest sister that was sexually molesting them, basically forcing them, her brothers. Like, y'all know my younger brother is no longer here, but that was my baby. I could not fucking imagine doing anything to hurt him, you know what I mean? Like, and sexually, like, she's fucking sick. Like, somebody needs to find her and fucking knock her head off. Like, are you kidding me? So, but she's probably been sexually abused herself as well. Now, the brother did say that the mom had to work. She was not around, you know, and as a mother, are you thinking that your daughter is sexually abusing your sons? Like, I don't think that this woman probably thought that, but she wasn't around. She didn't know that this was going on. Maybe she didn't see the red flags. If you're not around, you don't know what's going on, right? So the sisters forcing the brothers to perform sexual acts on her, and this has happened allegedly, I guess. I mean, the brother said it, but whatever. They have said that he's lying. I can't see why he would be lying, but the brother also said that he thinks that this is what started R. Kelly's obsession with, like, control and thinking that it's normal. Because if at 4, 5, 6 years old, first of all, you shouldn't know anything about sex, you know what I mean? But if you are already being sexualized, you know what I mean? If you're being taught, I didn't even know that a little boy at 6 years old penis could become erect. Like, I did not even know that, you know? Like, I guess, you know, but he was said the R. Kelly's younger brother was basically saying that she would have oral sex with him and, you know, get his penis erect and then force him to, like, put his penis in her, or she would get on top of him and, like, basically rape him. That's what that is. You're raping him. And he said that he knew, Carrie, I think is his name, he knew that this was wrong. Even from, like, a little boy, he knew that this was wrong. And he said that he thinks that R. Kelly actually enjoyed it. Like, he felt that he liked it. And again, at 4, 5, 6 years old, if this is what is your norm, you are not thinking that this is something's wrong, you know? So all of that is very sad to me, because the innocence of these young boys were lost at such a young age, and they're grown men now, and to see, like, the effect that this still has on their lives, and now their children's lives, and now all the women that they have come in, you know, contact with on their lives, the the interview with Carrie Kelly also revealed that the sister that was sexually abusing him, her kids were messing with each other sexually. Like the brother was having sex with the sister, and it's like, what in the world? Like, I can't in my mind, what? Like, that is just so crazy to me, you know what I mean? Like, and again, I could never see myself being sexually attracted to any of my siblings, any of my family members. Like, that shit is just disgusting and gross. But I wasn't sexually abused, you know what I mean? People weren't trying to touch me at a young age and all that sort of thing. So I don't know the mindset of somebody who has been abused. Do you normalize that sort of thing, you know? So not trying to take up for R. Kelly, you know, none of that, because you know wrong and from right? We all know. And as an adult, whatever you wanted to do with a grown-up sexually and they agree to it, then that's on you, but not with a child. So now R. Kelly's daughter, and one of his kids is a trans, I don't know which one, but one of his kids became the opposite sex. So his daughter, I think her name, I'll look up the name and then put it right here. She actually came forward and made like an Instagram post and basically said that she, you know, has been hurt by her family and herself. They have been hurt by R. Kelly for years, and they have experienced abuse. She didn't go into details as to what from him for years, and he's a monster. Those were her words, basically calling him a monster. Now these are his kids that he produced. Andrea Kelly, you guys, the lady that R. Kelly is married to, I don't know what my opinion of her is. She seems really wishy-washy to me, like with the things that she says. You know, the video that actually came out with her in the car jamming to R. Kelly's music, that's actually an older video. That's not even something that's recent, but it was definitely after all the things that she had been through, everything that her kids had been through with him. So, you know, I don't know. Like, again, I've never been sexually abused. I've never been mentally abused. I've never been in those situations where someone was like controlling my life. So I always try to keep an open mind as to why people do the things that they do, you know. And I don't know, like, I don't want to judge her, but at the same time, it's like, come on, you know, like, if this man, he had her, this was his wife, he had you knocking on the floor asking, can you come down for a snack? I'm the wife, I'm in this house, you sitting there with another woman, and I'm gonna be banging on the floor and ask, can I come get something to eat? Not gonna happen, never gonna happen. But again, I don't know, her mind was obviously controlled by this guy. And, you know, I've seen her in several interviews, and she kind of, you know, cries and tells the things that she's been to. But in my mind too, like, listening to her story, you had kids with this man, right? At what point, with all this abuse going on,